And away we go. It's the DFS Early Bird presented by Awesomeo.com, brought to you in part by Yahoo DFS as well. Don't forget, over on Awesomeo_com, that's our Twitter handle, plenty of contests going on regularly. I do believe there is a open championship contest that you'll want to keep your eyes out for. So keep your eyes peeled over there at Awesomeo_com, social media team, always working for Awesomeo. So you'll want to be in on that as predictions start rolling into Thursday's opening round over there in the United Kingdom. Dave Locker, Dan Strafford, we're here with you on this Wednesday morning. Is that right? Do I got the day right? Yeah. Switched with EMAC and I'm doing Adam's show on Friday, so I don't even know what day of the week it is, but it is Wednesday morning. We're here to talk a 6-game early slate. Dave, how the hell are you doing?
Better than the Rockies, man. Holy hell.
Yeah, Drew Pomeranz should not be shutting you out at home.
3 games in a row against the Giants. What'd they score, like 4 combined runs?
I think that's right, yeah.
I mean, it's the 8th inning right now, but they've got 1 run. Whew. That's yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really quite bad, but what are you going to do? Anyway, we got monster prize pools for this early slate, so let's get into it.
Let's do just that. What we'll do, as we do now here on the Early Bird, is we'll talk through the top pitching options on the slate. We'll go pretty much tier by tier, and then we'll touch on the top pitchers to target as we roll through. It is a sunny gray day. At least he is on the slate. Don't know if he's going to be a target from a pitching perspective, but we'll get into that because he is your most expensive pitcher on this slate over on DraftKings. And then it gets kind of weird kind of quick when it comes to DraftKings and pitching overall here. Sonny Gray at the top, 10-2, and Ponce de Leon is 9-6 for St. Louis against Pittsburgh, a team that we know does not strike out a ton. Darvish gets Cincinnati in Chicago, and then Chris Archer is 9K against St. Louis in St. Louis. Archer coming off back-to-back good starts, coming off a very solid start last time out against the Chicago Cubs, 97 pitches, 10 Ks, just 2 walks. Did give up a home run and 3 earned runs, but good enough for 24.5 DraftKings points, but sees an obvious elevated price point here on this short slate. What do you got at the top end? Are these pitchers that at least intrigue you, or are these matchups sort of off the board for you and look for someone at a cheaper price point?
Yeah, I mean, the price tag on Ponce de Leon's insane.
Yes, sir.
There's just no way you pay that much for him, especially not against one of the lowest strikeout teams in the entire league. I mean, you can't justify. I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be a short podcast. Let me put it to you that way, in all seriousness, because there is not a lot to like here. The Cubs game, no wind. I mean, Sonny Gray is really good. Like I said, I think one of the few people that talked, maybe I missed it, but they talked about actually rostering Sonny Gray at Coors Field because of all the lefties in that lineup. And he went 7 innings, 1 run, and 9 Ks. I mean, the guy's very good. He's especially good against lefties. I don't know how many lefties will be in the lineup, but it's very possible that the Cubs are going to have 5 lefties in their lineup. Now, I don't know, but if Robo Garcia's in there and Hayward and Rizzo and Schwarber, Maldonado got the start on Tuesday, so you could see Caratini back in the starting lineup on Wednesday with Wilson Contreras on the IL. That could put 5 lefties in the lineup, very unique for this team that you generally don't see much of. And then, of course, you'd have Darvish hitting as well. So, I mean, the righties here would be Baez, Bryant, and Almora.
Yep.
So I think it depends on what the lineup looks like. But man, you get 5 lefties in this lineup. One of them's Caratini, and one of them's Garcia. Another one of them's Hayward. I mean, granted, Schwarber and Rizzo are good players. Sonny Gray, to me, would definitely be a viable option, and my guess is he probably won't be popular. I think Darvish is fine just because you don't have much up top, and he's still a very solid strikeout pitcher, so you credit him there. But I would actually prefer Sonny Gray over Darvish if you get 5 lefties in this Cubs lineup.
Of all the teams in Major League Baseball with Joe Maddon there at the helm, I really wonder what lineup we see from the Cubs. Do they go to the advanced analytics? Do they look at what Sonny Gray has done against lefties? And do we see a little bit of the mad scientist from Maddon on this slate? It's going to be a fun chess match to watch to see if he runs out a little bit more of a right-handed lineup to try to play to or play against, I guess, the strengths of what Sonny Gray has shown on the year and what he's shown throughout his career, to be quite honest, with the slider he throws. But Archer, Gray, Keuchel, Martin Perez against the Mets. We get a Tommy Milone and Homer Bailey sighting down to 7K. Any interest in the likes of a Keuchel against Milwaukee, ground ball pitcher against a power-laden lineup in Milwaukee? Martin Perez gets the Mets. They've been very good against lefties, if I remember correctly. I'll double-check that momentarily from an ISO and from a WRC Plus perspective. Any of these mid-tier pitchers at least show up as potential plays?
I mean, I have no interest in Dallas Keuchel here. He's shown nothing thus far. 23% called plus swinging strike rate, really bad. 13% swinging strike rate for Chris Archer, though, which is kind of interesting because he's striking righties out at almost 27%. And my guess is that you're going to see a pretty righty-heavy lineup once again for the Cardinals, or at least, let's see, DeYoung, Goldschmidt, O'Neill. That's 3. Bader, 4. Then you have the catcher in there, the pitcher. So who is it on the mound for St. Louis today? Ponce de Leon.
Yep.
So 5, maybe 6. I mean, that's obviously a pretty appealing spot. So, and by the way, the St. Louis Cardinals this season have been unbelievably bad against right-handed pitching. Now, again, Molina's on the IL, Ozuna's on the IL, understood. But so is Matt Carpenter, who was just placed on the IL on Tuesday.
Yep.
That's a pretty big deal, right? Especially, having that lefty replaced by someone that isn't nearly as good. The Cardinals' active roster, man, it was already bad against righties. My guess is it only gets worse. So I think you have to take it kind of in context here. Is Archer too expensive? Well, not when Ponce de Leon's $9,600. He's not.
Right. Yeah, and I think we do get, we being the collective we, not Dave and I specifically, but sometimes caught up on price points comparatively across slates or across the year. And DraftKings has clearly shown their hand that they're pricing up pitchers in a very specific way on the season to try to make it more difficult to roster the better pitchers, force you to bats. I do want to take a quick look over at FanDuel, if I can pull this up in any sort of fast fashion. You have Sonny Gray at the top, then Archer, 88, 8,200 respectively. Ponce de Leon is 7,300, and then we move on down. Keuchel, 78, Archer, 82. So different prices to an extent. You do still have Sonny Gray at the top, but I do agree with you that there's some potential upside for Chris Archer here against a watered-down St. Louis team in a fairly neutral park / I guess slightly upside for hitters when it comes to St. Louis, but the numbers bear out over the years that pretty straightforward and neutral. Our options then slim pretty quickly. We get both Mr. Andersons on this slate when you have Chase and Sean at Coors Field. Chase Anderson against the Atlanta Braves in Milwaukee. And then we have Tommy Milone as a long reliever, Homer Bailey in Oakland pitching against the Mariners. You could see some potential upside with how bad Seattle's been on the year. Do you see at 7K Bailey entering into any mix here?
I do, yeah. Normally you wouldn't. By the way, Glenn Sparkman, did you see what this guy did yesterday?
No.
8 scoreless with 7 strikeouts.
See, I didn't listen to Adam. Adam talked about him on the podcast, and I just stayed away. And should have gone there.
Well, I mean, that is literally the most.
Oh, it's the highest of upsides for Glenn Sparkman. Like it's the ceiling.
We talked on the deeper dive about how bad this guy is, and
yeah,
he doesn't have more than
4,200 or whatever he was.
Right. There was the price tag for sure. He didn't have more than 3 strikeouts in like his last 8 starts or something. Just crazy. So no, I mean it's hard to it's hard to look back on that and say, man, I wish I did. Bailey is not as cheap as he was before, but I mean, Seattle's just bad, man. Like Seattle, they've sent off most of their good pieces.
Yep.
You have an active roster now that ranks towards the bottom of the league and used to rank towards the top of the league in a lot of spots, but that's not the case anymore. I just, like early this season, they were leading the league in WRC plus against righties. They're all the way down to the middle of the league, and that's only because of the hot start that they got off to. Their 25.3% K rate is the third highest in the league, behind only the White Sox and Padres. I mean, there's simply not much here that worries you. And the biggest thing is that they have strikeouts and they struggle to get on base. So, no, I do think Homer Bailey is a viable option, whether you like the guy or not. He has the ability to get some strikeouts. He has a good splitter. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I like him. I like him only because of the slate. Again, all in context of the slate, Homer Bailey is not the craziest option whatsoever.
All right, let's talk some offense, and then we'll be a short podcast. I should remind everyone, Dave and I talk about the early slate on Wednesdays because we do have the MLB strategy show for free over on YouTube. You can get that with Adam and Josh getting you started each and every Wednesday morning. So we take a look at the early slate. They talk about both the early and the late slate on the strategy show, and then you get the deeper dive at 5 p.m. Get live before lock. That's all in front of the paywall, free. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you have notifications on so you know when we go live. Leave comments, leave ratings. Really appreciate that. Do the same over on iTunes, Stitcher, tune in wherever you might be listening to the podcast as well. Behind the paywall, get the write-up from Dave, the deep dive for the main slate. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you get Adam Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And there's a ton of free content over there. So EMAC has a ton going up each and every day, some cheat sheets from Jake, and you also have some NFL content going up over there at Awesomeo.com. So lots to like, lots in front of the paywall.
NFL content too.
That is a good clarifying point. And then behind the paywall, you get the projections, you get the ownership projections, you get the lineup builder, you also get a Fantasy Cruncher add-on, and so much more. So if you want to become a member, use that promo code EARLYBIRD. It's one word, gets you 50% off your first month. We have some pitchers to target. Obviously, Coors Field is on this early slate. You hope that John Gray can figure some things out against San Francisco, which has been one of the worst offenses in the game. Coors surprisingly curing all ills there. On the other side, Sean Anderson should be hopefully a bit of a cure-all for the Rockies. Those are going to be two obvious popular stacks here, just simply trying to get in on Coors. What other options are you looking to? Do you think Jason Vargas continues his struggles that we saw against the Marlins? Do you go to Oakland bats against the long reliever that is Tommy Malone? What do you got as far as some of your top offenses on this slate?
Yeah, I mean, another 7.5 run implied total for Colorado. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, the honest truth is you just keep playing them.
Yep.
Look, there have been some great pivots recently, the past few days at Coors Field, right? Like a lot of them. So, coming in underweight on Coors was not a crazy idea at all. We talked about it on the deeper dive strategy show, pretty much everywhere. Like you don't always have to just load up and come in heavy on Coors, but there's just no way you're not going to like the Rockies here against Anderson. There's simply no way that you're going to look at this team and say, they've been bad. I think I'll go elsewhere. It doesn't work like that. I mean, this could easily be the game where they erupt for 15 runs after being held to 1 or 2 runs over the last several games at Coors Field against this same San Francisco team. Sean Anderson has been against lefties striking them out at 11%. I mean, 11%. Let's see how that plays at Coors. Hell, I've said the same for a bunch of guys, and they keep proving me wrong. But I don't think that'll be the case today. I think you just keep running them out there. Anderson has a 7% swinging strike rate on the season. I mean, his swinging strike rate is lower than the Rockies' implied total today. So, there you go. And Jason Vargas is another one. I just don't believe that these numbers are sustainable. I mean, we saw his last start come back down to earth against Miami. It was a miserable one. I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue free falling. Minnesota against the lefty, what a good spot. I don't love the Giants against Gray. I have enough respect for John Gray and no respect for the Giants most of the time. And then one more team just to throw out there. I don't know what we're going to get from Milwaukee, but Dallas Keuchel has just proven himself incapable of missing any bats this year. When he's not getting ground balls, I think things could get really ugly for him, especially at Miller Park. And he's allowed 4 home runs now in 5 starts. I wouldn't be surprised to see him add a couple to his numbers after this one.
All right. I think that is a good place to leave it. I think the Twins the most.
I like the Twins, yeah.
Yeah, the Coors game notwithstanding, and I agree with you that you continue to run out the Rockies, and especially if you are playing multiple lineups, that is a base you cover, pun intended. I think the Twins are the ones that stand out the most with the power upside against Vargas. And that game in Philadelphia was nuts, by the way, for the power that was shown. I know Citizens Bank Ballpark on Tuesday night. It's a small one. It's a little bit of a bandbox, but so much power going on in Major League Baseball this year. Not surprised that it happened in Philly, but so many home runs. So many home runs.
Vince Velasquez gave up 4 on his own.
Yep. There you have it. Find Dave over on Twitter at Lofty_D, LOUGHY_D. You can also find him on Sirius 210 XM87 every Saturday and Sunday with Awesomeo Radio. You can tune in. I'm sure there are multiple ways you can get a free month or so. Sirius constantly doing that. You can also find, if you buy a new car, usually you get Sirius XM as well. So tune in to.
And now Sirius, if you get it in your radio, you get it free on the app and on your computer.
Which is about damn time. Sirius.
Tell me about it. I absolutely agree. But it's nice to have that.
Yep. So there you have it. I need to actually hook that up. And I also need to move my subscription from one car to the other because I don't really drive the other car anymore. But anyway, we will do that at a later date. Find me on Twitter at Dan Strafford and Awesomeo_com. As I said, more details to come on that Open Championship giveaway over on our Twitter handle. As I said, our social media team constantly doing some great things over there to try to give people a peek behind the curtain, give us the opportunity to give away some possibility of being a subscriber here on Awesomeo.com. Always good to do that and happy to be a part of it. So you'll want to head on over to Awesomeo_com on Twitter. Here, I found it finally. Win 3 free months of Awesomeo Plus, which is our premium subscription, if you guess the golfer which wins the Open and their final score. So you have to get both the golfer and their final score. To win, you must retweet this tweet, follow Awesomeo_com and Awesomeo Golf, and then there are details in an image. So check that out over on Twitter. I will also question, if you guess the golfer, which wins the Open? Would it be who wins the Open, right? The golfer who wins the Open? Well, we'll talk about that at our grammar meeting at a later date. With that said, for Dave, Dan Strafford, tomorrow morning get Emac and Adam. Dave and I back on Friday, Emac and I Saturday morning. Lots of Strafford in your life over the next few days. Best of luck on Wednesday's early slate. Best of luck Wednesday night. We'll be back with you right here on the DFS Early Bird presented by Awesomeo.com.